everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jessica, and today I need your help deciding again. And yes, if you're wondering, my hair is absolutely soaking wet, so yeah, that's why it looks kind of like flat and lifeless today. I need your help deciding on what palette to pick to work on next year. I need just a little bit of help with this one. There is one palette that I am like 99% sure that I'm going to pan. I'm going to show you that, and I need to find something to work as a companion with it. It doesn't matter to me if it coordinates with it or if it's completely opposite. It does not matter to me any way, shape, or form, because I will, mix and match things however I want. I'm going to have eyeshadows throughout all of my projects for next year, so I do want to pan a palette as a companion, but not necessarily one that coordinates with that palette. All right, the one that I'm fairly certain that I'm going to pan as my primary pan that palette is this Huda Beauty Amethyst Obsessions palette. I'm going to show you what that looks like inside, though most of you already know what it looks like. It is a beautiful 9-pan kind of purpley palette. There are some like more pinky shades, more mauvey shades, like some true purples in there. This is not a standalone palette for me because it just isn't. It just isn't. So I'm going to have to find something that will work with it, whether it is in, my Pan That palette. I will be doing Better Together, the same as I did for and then we'll be done with the helping me decide it, and I can actually start figuring out what I am going to pan next year and start planning everything. Huda Beauty Amethyst Obsessions, I'm pretty sure this is the one that I'm going to pan. So bear that in mind. I probably will have somewhere on the screen the swatches of that palette. And then I have a bunch of other palettes right here. And I did purposely pick small palettes because next year for 2024, I want to finish things. And I am not crazy enough to bring like a really big palette in again and fail, because I will not get any monetary value if I fail. I would rather have like the tiniest little palette that's only worth $5 and actually get that $5 value, as opposed to working on a $100 palette, which I don't think I own a $100 palette, but you know what I mean, and not finish it and not get any value. So I do have some smaller palettes here, and I need your help with picking out that palette for my Better Together Pan That palette. I am going to start with this one because it is in the purple family, but again, it doesn't matter to me if it goes completely. This is the Essence I Like to Mauve It palette. There are 6 shades in here, but this shade I'm actually going to pull out because I do have that particular shade in another project. So I'm probably just going to repress that in another pan so it does not get confused with anything else. And, I can just, if this becomes my Better Together, then I can just worry about what's in here for that particular project. And this one I can have in a single pan for my other project. So that is one of those palettes that I am definitely considering. So this is both of those palettes together. They definitely do coordinate. I do like both of these. I do like purple, and I'm not scared to do a primarily purple palette like I was with the greens and the blues for 2023, because purple to me is practically neutral. I know it's not really neutral, but I love purple so much that I can wear it all the time. My next possible palette is also from Essence. I've got one more from Essence in here. This is the Coral Moon Navy. Not that you can see it because it is well worn. And once again, there are 6 shades in this one. They do all have pan, much like the I Like to Mauve It palette. So yeah, that is completely opposite from a purple palette, but sometimes you just want something a little bit different, so that is good too. I like all of these shades. I like anything in the peachy orangey family, and of course I like my neutrals, so that is definitely a contender. And the other Essence palette is the Dancing Green palette. This one is going to be a little bit harder because of the dark green in here, but I think, you know, I could make that work. It has some beautiful shades in here. Again, not a standalone palette. None of these that I'm showing you are standalones, but I could make this work. Don't know if this will work in conjunction with purple. Like, I'm not going to do like the Joker green and purple look, but you know, it does give me options to play with colors other than purple. All right, I have a non-Essence palette. This one is from Bare Minerals. It's the Mineralist Sunlit palette. I do like the Mineralist palettes, and this is such a pretty color story for me. It's a very fall color story, but I do like warm tones, and I do have one with pan right there. And the others have all been used once and probably maybe up to twice, but doesn't have a lot of usage on it, but it is a really nice palette. And I feel like this is something I could wear on an everyday basis, or when I really just want something fairly neutral or easy, like the one color, one and done kind of looks. This would be good for something like that. So this is definitely a contender for me as well. Two more palettes I'm going to show you. One is actually depotted. I have it in like one of these magnetic palettes, and it is what is left of the Real Her Be Your Own Beauty palette. I only have 5 shades of the original 9, and they're all very brown. And then of course I have the one black over here, which I do have a black that I'm working on for 2024. I had just rolled it into a newer project, and it has very, very minimal usage on it. So the black is a little bit concerning, but I might be able to pull it off. We'll have to wait and see. But this is definitely a contender just because there's only 5 shades and they're all pretty neutral. And the last one is one that you definitely saw this year as well, as you did most of these. This is the Marc Jacobs Fantasine palette. It has 7 eyeshadows in it, and they're all definitely very warm toned. But this is a size palette that I feel comfortable working on. And again, everything in here has pan in it, so I definitely have a head start. And there's some nice shades in here. So while I am pretty darn certain this is going to be my main Panette palette for 2024, it is possible that I will change that up, but I'm fairly set that this is the one that I want to work on. It's like the opposite of the greens and the blues to me. So, I mean, purple is my happy place. So I'm pretty sure that this is the one that I want to pan. So I just need your help figuring out which one of these palettes will go with that one. I will try to remember to list the names of all the palettes down below, and I guess whichever one gets the most votes, that is the one that I'm going to use as my companion palette for next year. I really appreciate all of your help with voting on like my face products, my nail products, my eyeshadows, and everything else. It really helps me with my decision fatigue, and it takes a lot of the guesswork out of this. It really helps me get to planning on what I want to do for next year so that I can fill in all the blanks that I currently have. I keep very meticulous spreadsheets, which I have to because I've got a lot going on, and this way I can just like input all of the info into those spreadsheets, and when it comes time to film my intros, everything is all set and ready to go, and I couldn't do it without your help. All right, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and until I see you in my next video, have a beautiful day.